It is 7 o'clock and I'm going to begin call the meeting to order with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Let's have may I have a motion to adopt the minutes from our 10:25 meeting, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any comments or anything? Okay.
Thanks for making the change that I requested. I appreciate it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's have, I'll do the deputy mayor announcements, and then we will go to our two presenters. Okay, first I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the residents, the business owners, and very especially the staff who have helped me since I came into the office on Monday, November 1st. Everybody has been extremely supportive, and I particularly appreciate the staff who has been very helpful with the myriad of things that have needed to be done and changed this week. The second thing I want to do is I want to announce an infrastructure workshop. Our infrastructure workshop will be held Wednesday, November 17th at 7 p.m. It will be held via Zoom. The purpose of the infrastructure workshop is to talk about, obviously, our infrastructure and how we might utilize the American Rescue Plan ARP funds for that. Just so folks know, the panel will consist of the 4 members of the Board of Trustees, Jeff Gories, the head of our Department of Public Works, and also Eric Johnson, who is our engineer from Chazen. The meeting is open to the public. There will be time for public comment at the end of that meeting. The Comprehensive Plan Committee, I want to announce that Karen Martell, who has been a member of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, one other thing, Madam Clerk, Village Clerk, you'll put in an announcement for that infrastructure workshop in the normal course of events. Thank you very much. Okay. Karen Martell, who is a member of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, is going to take over the role of chair of that committee after John Cromie. John Cromie has been the chair. He has been doing a very fine job, but he wants to step back to a participant as we go more, as the Comprehensive Plan Committee moves towards more public engagement, okay, which is part of their process. I'm sure Karen Martell will do a very fine job as chair. The next meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Committee is on Tuesday, November 16th at 7 p.m. That is at the County Special Facilities building, and it is also being held on Zoom. There have been 3 resignations from the Comprehensive Plan Committee. They are Paul Farnham, Dick Duffy, and Pete Martin. We thank you for your service on this committee, and we wish you well, and we really appreciate the work that you have done so far. There are going to be 2 additions to the Comprehensive Plan Committee. They're going to be John Tazy, who is the proprietor of the Medbury Inn and Spa, and John Hearn of Expert Inspections and Spring Street Realty. He resides at 51 Kent Street. They didn't make, I'm announcing them, but they won't be officially appointed until the next meeting. Okay. We also had another resignation. Dawn Traver has resigned from the Historic Commission. So anybody who is interested in working on that committee to please send a resume or a letter of interest, not necessarily a resume, but a letter of intent and interest to Village Hall, to my attention. And we also thank Mr. Traver for his service. We had a meeting on November 4th. We all know that we are looking for and are quite concerned about our DPW, and we need to find a new home for our DPW. The way back, even I think in the 90s, in the comprehensive plan, Liz tells me that they were talking about getting a new home for DPW. That is very high on our list of priorities. Trustee Raymond and I went to a meeting at the Malta Town Board meeting on the 3rd, I think it was, on the 4th, to discuss. We have a property that we own, which is out on Malta Avenue. It is called the Stump Dump, and it is where currently we get rid of our yard waste, where they dump snow in the winter. We own it. We have owned that property since 1905. It has had various uses. It is zoned land conservation. So we were thinking that would be a good place for the DPW, but it is in the town of Malta and it is zoned land conservation. We got a hard stop from the town of Malta about using that land for the Department of Public Works. They say they will not change the zoning, that it's zoned land conservation, and that's really going to be it. They're not going to change it. And they told us very emphatically that they have, I think they said 2 miles or 2 square miles of the town of Malta that hasn't been listed for development, and they're really holding on to anything that is considered land conservation. So unless we can change the zoning, which we can't do because it is within their jurisdiction, we're going to have to find another home for DPW. And we will be looking for that. We'll be working on that process, and perhaps when it comes to liaison reports, Trustee Raymond, I was very grateful for his attendance with me at that meeting, and maybe if he can add anything he wants to that. The ice skating rink, we are moving forward with that. It turns out that we are going to make the school an additional insurer. We had some confusion about how we were going to handle this. I spoke to Brian Sirianni, who is the Deputy Superintendent for Business for the school system. He's going to get a contract to us next week. And we are going to be naming the school as an additional insured. Trustee Baskin has been working on this, and I am working with the parents, and I appreciate his help on this. We are still going to need signage that says skate at your own risk, and we're going to have to figure out scheduling and things like that. And I will leave that in Trustee Baskin's hands. When I get the contract, we're not going to need any motion. I'm just to add, it doesn't require a motion to add somebody as an additional insured on our liability policy. That kind of insurance stuff goes on back and forth all the time. But we did have somebody say that they wish to donate the cost of that rider, if you will, to the village. I do not know yet how much that will cost. Once we get the contract, then it has to go to our insurer. They'll tell us what the cost of that will be. But once we know that, we will let the person know. You cannot pay for a service like this for the village, but they certainly can donate to the village and for the cost of that insurance. And we will let you know how we're going to go thus far, how we progress with that. I'm going to make sure I got everything here. I'm not missing anything. Okay. We began this week, myself, Julia Smith, our treasurer, and Terry O'Connor, who is the administrator for our employee benefits. We started our rate renewal process this week for continued coverage for our employees under our village health insurance program. We're working on that process. We are going to be meeting with the unions about our choice of product, and we will then be bringing it to the board probably next week. We plan to have an open enrollment on November the 30th, complete with meetings, so employees and retirees can attend if they so wish. We're going to have 2 in-person meetings and 1 Zoom meeting. And the really good news is that the rate increase, which I am not at liberty at this point to tell you, but it's a lot better than we thought it was going to be. Okay, so I will be sharing that with you at the next meeting. And the last item is to advise people that Veterans Day is this Thursday, the November 8th, and that Village Hall, the Department of Public Works, and the library will be closed on that day for the holiday and to honor our veterans. Okay, with that, I think we will take Andrea Simmons, who is our library director, and she is going to talk about the library plan of service.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me tonight. And thank you, residents, for listening. So on October 12th, the Board of Trustees adopted our community-based plan of service, and that will cover 2021 to 2026. This is required by New York State Library Development. Every library has to have that. It is located at our website at bspl.sals.edu. If you would like to review it, it's at the bottom of the website under the governance section. The plan, as well as the survey that went out, it's located right there. So if you wanted to review it after the meeting, please do. So let me see. So we started this plan. It was comprised of me, Andy Mannion, Meredith Tower, Amy Jenkins, and Karina Oberoi for a little bit. We started in February 2021, and we met pretty regularly via Zoom just to look at statistics about our village. It comprised statistics comprised from the census, from the Village of Ballston Economic Development Plan, and from our monthly internal statistics, our circulation. We also did an online and paper survey that was launched in June of 2021. I also targeted a few places for print surveys like Doubleday Woods, at the Village Hall, at BACC, just so the different areas and the demographics were covered with print surveys. We also had print surveys at the library. So we got input from the statistics through the online survey, the paper survey, which were the same. Input from the staff and input from the Board of Trustees, the Library Board of Trustees. So all that information was evaluated, and we came up with these goals. So goal 1, for taxpayers and residents of the Ballston Spa School District will have ready access to a diverse and wide variety of materials in the library book and media collection. And the objective there is each year, the Ballston Spa Public Library will increase the number of diverse books and media offerings in the library by 10%. Goal 2, taxpayers and residents of the school district will have ready access to a diverse and wide variety of programs. So that programming will increase each year by 10%, with the emphasis of programming for tweens, that's slightly younger teens and children's programming. Also daytime programming for homeschool families and a variety of adult programming. We would also like to reach out to the clients of Saratoga Bridges and have programs quarterly for those day hab participants. So that is goal 2. Goal 3 is for taxpayers and residents to have increased access to the library, which means increased hours, and in order to borrow materials, conduct research, attend programs, and attend meetings. So 60% of patrons will indicate that they have an increased in their usage of the library because of an increase in the variety of hours. So that is our goal, to increase the hours, to make it more readily available for, you know, all walks of life, from retirees to families to working folks. And finally, goal 4, taxpayers and residents will have an updated, comfortable, clean, and accessible library interior. Each year, the library will focus on updating an interior portion of the library, conduct a walkthrough of the library, and deem what is important to make the library more welcoming, accessible space. So that's what we worked on, and we will have our first implementation meeting on the 16th of November to see the steps to start implementing them.
Okay. Thank you very much,
Welcome.
Angela. Very
you.
thorough and very good, and we appreciate it. And we also appreciate the folks who worked with you on this. This was,
Wonderful.
you know, it's a very important thing to do, to set goals and objectives. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Leanna Walsh from, she is the site manager for Davy Resources Group, Inc., and she's going to talk to us about our, the tree survey.
Yeah, and I do have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to share my screen and then just let me know if you guys can see it. It doesn't look like I can share my screen. It looks like it needs to be enabled.
Let me see what I can do for you, but I do believe we're allowing all panelists to share screen. Do you have you want a computer or laptop? There should be a green button on the bottom of your screen that says share screen.
Yeah, so I clicked that and it said host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay.
I see Liana's logged on in 2 locations. Perhaps
Yes.
one is a panelist and one is a participant.
Mhm.
Could that be the situation?
That very well could be. I think that's more of an internal thing with you, Liana, if you're on in 2 different locations.
So I should just be on in one location. I did share the link with somebody from my company who wanted to just hop on and see. Do you think maybe that was an issue?
It shouldn't have been, but
Maybe it is.
it could. I'm gonna see if changing you to Spotlight for everyone does anything for you.
No. Well,
I did share the presentation with Liz Cormos. If you want to just throw up the presentation, then I can present on it and just tell you when to fast forward if that works as well.
Liz, can you do that? I don't know what happened to Liz.
I can try. Let me, it'll take a minute. Let's see, tree grant.
Your voice is not coming through.
I know. Let's see. No, I don't think I've got to get it from the email.
Okay, can you, while Liz is doing that, and if she can could you summarize for us? And I'm sure we're gonna have a copy of that. I apologize, but
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I can just walk you guys through it really quick while we get it sorted out. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
okay.
So yeah, my name is Leanna Walsh, and I managed the inventory for the tree inventory for Ballston Spa. I've been with Davey for about 3 years now, and I mainly focus on inventories, and it was my pleasure to oversee the tree inventory of Ballston Spa. And just as a little background, we were contracted by the village to do a complete street tree and park and public facility inventory. So what that means is we looked at all of the street trees, any trees along the streets within the village right of way. We collected trees, stumps, and vacant planting sites. And then we also looked at the trees in public facilities like the library and the pool and several parks. Yeah. So the information that we collected for each tree included the location, so the address, the X and Y coordinates. We collected the species of the tree, both in scientific and common names. We collected the size, so we took the diameter of the tree at breast height. We collected tree condition, which we collected in 4 categories, which were good, fair, poor, and dead. We then assigned the tree a primary maintenance need. So if the tree needed to be pruned, removed, trained, anything like that, we collected the name of the park, if that was applicable. We then collected any defects that were that the tree had. So that would include like dead and dying parts, missing or decayed wood, root problems, things like that. And then we did a risk assessment. So what that means is we assigned a risk rating based on the defect, the likelihood of failure of that defect on the tree. So let's say there's a large hanging branch over a street. We were assigning a risk rating based on the likelihood of that branch falling and hitting a person.
Christine, it says host disabled participant. I have the presentation up, but I can't share my screen either.
I do believe I allowed it, so I'd have to go and check on that on our next meeting, but unfortunately I can't do too much unless
happened?
Christine made you whole host.
Wait a minute. Are we saying,
I can't share my screen. I've got the presentation up, but it doesn't let me share.
okay. So is there anything you're saying, Julia, there's nothing we can do about that right now?
Not in this one, no.
Okay, well, what happened to Leanna?
I'm still here.
You're still here. Okay,
Yeah.
I apologize. I
It's all right.
apologize. This is,
Yeah, I can just verbally walk us through
okay,
it.
thank you very much. And you'll see that we get a copy of this presentation, and we, of course, will place it on the website. Okay, all
Awesome.
right, thank you.
No worries. Yeah, continuing to go through the data fields that we collected. We also noted if we were able to complete the full risk assessment or not. So if we couldn't see all sides of the tree, we would mark it as no. We collected any, if there was hardscape damage associated with the tree, we were marking if it had associated hardscape damage. And we were also noting if the tree had any conflicts with overhead utilities.
Mhm.
All right. Moving on, so we collected a total of 1,671 sites. Of that data that we collected, 1,127 were trees, 58 were stumps, and 486 were vacant planting sites. So areas that have enough room for trees. All right, we then, so of that data, of those trees that we collected, 87% of those trees were found in good to fair condition, and only 13 were found to be in poor to dead condition, which is really great.
Okay.
All right, the top 5 species noted in Ballston Spa were Norway maples, which made up 26% of the inventoried population, followed by northern white cedar, which made up 10%, followed by red maple, sugar maple, and Norway spruce. All right, moving on to maintenance recommendations. So there were several categories of maintenance recommendations that we had. So we had prune, we had routine prune, train, tree removal, stump removal, and plant. So of the trees that we inventoried, 442 were recommended for prune. That's about 26%. 500 were recommended for routine prune, which is about 30%. And the difference between prune and routine prune, prune has dead and dying parts of over 2 inches in diameter, while routine prune is just essentially pruning for aesthetics. We then had 80 trees recommended for train, which is about 5%. Only 6%, 105 trees recommended for removal, 58 stumps recommended for stump removal, and we located 486 planting sites, which was around 29% of the inventory. All right, I just have another little graphic here to show the number of trees that had infrastructure conflicts. So the 2 conflicts that we were looking at were overhead utilities, and we were also looking for hardscape damage, that's sidewalks, curbs, things like that. Of the tree population, we had 13% of the trees conflicting with the wires. We had 10% that had wires overhead, but weren't quite conflicting with the trees yet. And 76% of the tree population didn't have any overhead wires at all, which was great. For hardscape damage, only 26% of the inventory trees were noted to have present or likely hardscape damage, and 74% of the trees were causing no hardscape damage or were not likely to cause damage, which is another great number. You guys are looking pretty great.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, and then so next steps would be the management plan. So this is just a brief overview of the data that I've given you. We're going to go into a lot more detail about these numbers and what they mean. The proposed management plan sections are structure and composition of the tree resource. So that's going to go into a further breakdown of the condition, of the age classes, number of sites collected, things like that. Section 2 would be functions and benefits of the tree resource. So we're actually going to take your inventory data. We already have actually run it through a program called iTree Eco, where it is going to assign a monetary value to the benefits, the eco benefits that your trees are providing you. So things like stormwater runoff, air quality, carbon sequestration, things like that. And then section 3 will be recommended management of the tree resource. And that section is going to include a little bit more information about the maintenances that we've recommended, and it will include a budget table, most likely a 5-year budget management plan for Ballston Spa. And then section 4 would be a sidewalk infrastructure condition assessment plan. So we're going to take the hardscape damage information that we've collected and create an entire section of the plan on ways that hardscape damage can be mitigated and prevented in the future. All right, and that is it for me for now. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. It's a very thorough job.
Yes.
And that includes all our public trees, which includes all the street trees and the trees in our parks.
Yes, and thank you very much. And the source, this was part of a grant, or what's the source, funding source for this?
This was the urban forestry grant, which was 100% grant from Department of Environmental Conservation. And there is a follow-on grant, which does have, I think, a 25% match, but could provide us 75% of the costs of providing new trees to plant, removing trees, equipment, stump grinding, whatever, we feel is the most important so that we can manage our forest.
Okay, thank
I had
you.
a quick question.
Thank you, and thank you very much, Leanna.
I have
Thank
a
you.
quick question.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks very much. Very interesting. I didn't know you could have so many details related to tree in a village, but it's interesting to hear. The question is, what does it mean to have 400 or so vacant planting sites? Does that mean where trees used to be, or where they should be?
So that is so it's not where trees have been, and we sort of went out and identified areas that would be suitable for trees. So you got a lot of room to plant more trees in the future, which is great.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, Leanna. We very much appreciate your attending tonight and the information, and we will see that this information gets posted. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you for having that. Thanks for coming. A really fine job.
Thanks.
Okay. Now we can go, if we will, to the, we're going to move to the treasurer's report. That's Julia Smith.
Okay, hi. So unfortunately, I was unable to make last board meeting, which means I was unable to provide some of the details of the September financials. Luckily enough, there's not much going on in this time of year in the village, no big cash receipts or large expenditures. Generally, the village does start paving in September, but this year it did get pushed back a month. So we will be seeing some more of those expenses in financial analysis coming in my October report. This week, I am big on getting tax re-levies sent to the county. All that means is unpaid taxes get sent to your town and county property taxes, so the county can make us whole when their tax collection comes out. Hopefully, I'll be getting that wrapped up this week. And I know that the county made a statement a few meetings ago saying that they're trying to get their re-levies in faster to make their lives a little quicker. So starting next year, we will be pushing back the official end of close of collection on taxes to September 30th rather than October 31st. Lastly on my list is that, as you all are aware, the board is having an infrastructure workshop, and I am going to be working on the constitutional debt limit, which just means how much the village can take on in debt. And I will be giving that information to the board to help aid in their decisions for any funding options related to the infrastructure workshop. And that concludes.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, thank you, Treasurer Smith. Much appreciated. Okay, I have old business. Do I have any item for old business?
Yes, I prepared a statement regarding the curfew ordinance that I'd like to state. The board has received correspondence from the public regarding their position on the curfew. The majority of this correspondence wants the curfew to stay as is. However, The sample of residents represents approximately 2% of the village adult population and is not yet large enough of a data sample to provide a reliable indication of the overall public sentiment of residents regarding this matter. Opinions were expressed by both the public and the board. However, there was little supporting data provided. That is why I am making a motion tonight for our police department to collect data on the curfew starting January 1st, 2022 for a period of 1 year to determine the efficacy of this ordinance. The parameters of data collection will be determined collaboratively by the board and the police department prior to start date. So I am making that motion.
Okay, would you restate it, please, for the clerk?
The board has received correspondence.
Well, no, the motion, the
The
motion.
motion. Oh, I make the motion to engage our police department in collecting data regarding the curfew beginning January 1st, 2022 for a period of 1 year.
Okay, and can you add said data collection to be achieved?
Oh, yes. The parameters of the data collection will be determined collaboratively by the board and the police department prior to start date.
Okay. All right, but there is no further action on the curfew law. This is it. This is your motion. Okay,
That is my motion.
okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, second, Ben, okay. And all in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, thank you, Trustee Raymond. Okay, then we have new business. So we've had our two presentations. So the next item on the agenda is a motion to appoint a mayor of the Village of Ballston Spa for the balance of our official year, which is April 4th, 2022. Would somebody make a motion, please?
I'll make that motion. Motion to appoint Christine M. Fitzpatrick as Mayor of Ballston Spa until the end of Ballston Spa's official year, April 4th, 2022.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor? And I think, Madam Clerk, that we need a voice vote on this. Julia, can you unmute Ms. O'Connor?
I can ask her to unmute, but
Unmute
she's gonna have to
herself.
unmute herself.
Okay. Oh, there she goes. Okay.
Oh,
No,
Double click.
no, it's not working, Terry.
Still muted. Still muted.
can't she unmute herself or not?
I don't, apparently she's having difficulty doing that.
Okay.
Okay.
There she goes.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay.
Trustee Cormos,
Aye.
trustee Baskin,
Aye.
trustee Raymond,
Aye.
deputy mayor Fitzpatrick,
Aye.
motion passed.
Motion carries. Okay. Thank you very much. I just want to briefly state, thank you very much for this vote of confidence from my colleagues. And what I can promise to do is to do the best that I possibly can in the time that I'm in this position, the best that I possibly can for all of the residents of the Village of Ballston Spa. And thank you very much for this vote of confidence. Okay, my first official act, I would also like to appoint Sean Raymond as deputy mayor. Now that I'm mayor, then I am going to appoint Sean Raymond as deputy mayor. Okay, for the balance of the official year, which is until April 4th, 2022. Okay. All right, moving forward. I need a motion to appoint that the attached budget transfers be approved.
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion made, may I have a motion to appoint Rachel Edelstein as a part-time library clerk? Would someone make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by trustee Cormos. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by seconded by trustee Baskin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any comments or anything? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we have nothing on the consent agenda for this. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one other item. I need a motion for that the police department be approved to apply for a grant to replace and update the life scan fingerprint system. The matching funds will be $4,961. May I have that motion, please? Will somebody make the motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, will somebody second it, please?
I'll second it.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Oh, sorry.
I just have one quick question. When it says matching funds will be for $4,900 roughly, is that, what percentage match is that? Is it a
It's a
50-50?
25%.
It's 25%. Yes.
Okay,
Okay, and this is coming out of the police department budget, and this is the fingerprint system that we have been talking about for a number of years. And you saw the application; it was attached to the material that when the meeting materials went out. Another question. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to know if it was a competitive grant, or is it not?
This is basically, is it a competitive application? I do not know.
And I did read the grant, and I had a few pointers if Chief Bush would, care to call me. Just a couple of minor things that I thought would clarify some text on it.
Okay. We will, Madam Clerk, will you ask Chief Bush to do that?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we have the trustee liaison reports. Do we have any of those, please?
In regards to the DPW, as Mayor Fitzpatrick stated, we did meet Malta. I was kind of brought in late to this particular project, so I didn't know the details deeply. I found out that at that meeting in particular, both Mayor Fitzpatrick and I, that it was zoned land conservation, which if I having had some experience with this type of thing and trying to develop buildings in different zones and getting variances, I was a bit taken aback, because typically land conservation, to build something like a DPW where you're going to have stored waste oils and oil water separators and things of that nature, it's extremely unlikely that you'll get a variance for that type of zoning, or even change the zoning. So that's unfortunate, that we were had to find that out there, but we are seeking out alternatives within the village, potential locations, and we'll continue to move forward on that because that is one of our higher priorities. The DPW is woefully undersized. We need more storage area to store equipment, and we just need a more up-to-date building with the up-to-date things I just mentioned as far as the environmental controls. So other than that, I do think people have seen the DPW has started to patch up the locations where they had to do some excavation work around water and sewer and stormwater infrastructure. And that's going along. And also they have started to pick up leaves. So I would urge anyone that if you haven't raked up your leaves and put them on the street, to do so as soon as possible, because we probably only have a couple more weeks before the snow flies. So the sooner they're out there, the sooner they can clean them up. And that's all I have for now.
Okay. Thank you.
I have just a brief announcement. The Ballston Spa Pedestrian and Bicycle Master Plan is wrapping up soon. There is going to be a virtual public meeting about the draft plan that will be held November 18th on Zoom from 7 to 8:30. There'll be information shortly, including the draft plan that folks can review ahead of time. And there'll be a presentation on their recommendations from the master plan.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I can share that the Committee on the Arts had a successful planting art ceremony in October. They kicked off a planter decoration and distribution project. They put 2 planters downtown so far. They're decorating additional ones, and they're going to be doing more for businesses and residents in the coming year. So in the spring, we'll have more planters around town. Also, they are excited to announce that they are creating a life drawing weekly event, hopefully in the National Bottle Museum. They say it's non-instructional, meaning people just go and practice. It's not, active instruction. And when they have more details on when that will be, they will bring it to us. But they're looking forward to that too. And there's some other things in the works that we will talk more about the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the library has been heard from by Library Director Simmons, so I don't have anything to report in that area because she stole my thunder and gave the report. Thank you, Andrea. Okay, do we have anything for other business?
I actually have something else I'd like to say.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I'm still saddened that former Mayor Woolbright felt too overburdened by the position to continue. However, when one door closes, another door opens. Although I wish the circumstances were different, I want to congratulate Mayor Fitzpatrick on being what I believe is the first woman mayor in the history of Ballston Spa. And she has already exhibited the type of leadership the village will need moving forward.
Thank you very much, Trustee Raymond. Thank you. And I have checked with our village historian because I wanted to make sure, if anybody said that, we had our facts checked, and he said, yes, he's sure that that's right. And I also appreciate the fact that this didn't even occur to me until you said it at one point. So, but I'm very, very happy to be the first female mayor of the village of Ballston Spa. Hopefully it's a trend. Okay. All right.
I'd
Thank
also
you very
like
much.
I'd also like to just express my appreciation for your willingness to step in at this difficult time, and really your you're doing what this village needs to be done, and you're to be commended for that. So, and you're doing it very competently. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ben.
Congratulations, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Liz. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna open public comment. So here's a couple of things about public comment. I am going to limit public comment to 3 minutes. This is for both members of the public and also for any board response at the end. Julia Smith is going to be controlling that. And I'm very grateful to her. She's going to be doing this because visually, this is, as you know, vision is not my strong suit. So controlling this kind of thing on Zoom is quite difficult for me. So I'm very grateful for her help. I will also say that in terms of public comment, please remember that this is a place for civic debate. Please keep your comments civil, and please stick to your time. Okay, with that, I will open it up for public comment. Julia?
I will just add one more thing with what you said, Christine. I will have a timer on my phone, and it will go into effect after you state your name and address. And I will put up my hand just that when you have 30 seconds remaining, just so you're all aware that the timer is almost up. With that said, I will promote to panelist or promote to be able to speak the first person on my list, and that person is going to be Frank Rossi.
Thank you, Julia. Frank Rossi Jr., 63 Saratoga Avenue, Apartment B, also SPA. And Christine, please don't take this personally in terms of what I'm about to say. It's not meant to be directed toward you as an insult in any way, shape, or form. But first, I've got to say how disappointed I am in the statements that were made in terms of Facebook posts and even Sean's statement tonight about former Mayor Wilbright and the question of why he left. He made it loud and clear in the last meeting why he left. It wasn't burden, it was behavior. And let us not forget that fact. One of the behaviors that he highlighted was about priorities and priority sets, and to see us double down tonight on one of the things he warned us against, the idea that trees need to be the biggest concern that we have right now, is a doubling down that is a slap in the face to him and a slap in the face to the residents of Ballston Spa. Why aren't we talking about the water tower? I was confronted recently by Trustee Cormos in the Town of Milton meeting about water issues. And let me remind you, you're charging people outside Ballston Spa triple value for water that currently isn't passing inspection. At least the water tower it's coming from isn't passing inspection and won't pass inspection until it's fixed. And we're talking about trees. Trees are great. I love them as much as anybody. I made this my residence again because Central Park isn't enough of a tree area for me to enjoy green grass and trees. But that said, water means a lot more to this village, not just for our safety, but also customer service for the municipalities that we serve with our water. Where is that discussion? Finally, Sean, the discussion about the curfew, here's an idea. It's winter time. Kids don't want to be out past 10 o'clock. We have an election coming up in March. Make it a referendum. If it can't be a direct referendum, a non-binding referendum. You don't want to believe the voices of the residents that have spoken already, then let's go to referendum. Collect your data, present it, go to referendum. Put it on the ballot in March. I've heard more people than I've ever heard cry out against this, and from all directions, Republican, Democrat, or in anything in between. It's time to go to referendum. If you're going to sit there with a conflict of interest, mind you, on this curfew situation, it's time for the residents to speak up and have them heard and get their way. Thank you very much.
Okay, next person.
Okay, the next person will be Lori AC.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm from 25 Eastern Ave in Ballston Spa, and I'm also calling as the chairperson for the Public Safety Committee in the village. I just wanted to check in on this. I'm glad that the public curfew is being discussed tonight. At the end of August, we did a periodic kind of check-in with the Public Safety Committee, with Mayor Woolbright, the committee, and also with Chief Bush. And I just wanted to kind of touch on a few things that came from that meeting. That was around the end of, well, we checked in August, it was closer to September. We talked about this public curfew and the fact that it had been in place for over 20 years, and which in Chief Bush's opinion, it had actually served the community quite well. This was the first time that he could remember in over 20 years that there was ever an issue made of the curfew. Some of the largest issues that came out in our public safety review and our report were traffic violations, patrolling. That's the largest, some of the largest activity areas that the police are charged with, substance abuse, homelessness, domestic abuse. These are all things that also our youth are facing and in their home lives. So one of the things we talked about as a committee is that there are 12 and 14-year-old kids on the streets that the police are stopping to chat with as well. Sometimes this can be the first point of contact for a young person, for a police officer to actually acknowledge that potentially they may have something going on at home that they can't manage, or that could be a serious problem for them. We actually made a statement, and I'm not sure that Larry ever really was able to share it because this topic is coming up tonight, but I'll read it just briefly. In light of concerns brought to the village board regarding the current ordinance of the Village of Ballston Spa establishing a curfew during nocturnal hours for minor children under the age of 17 years, the Public Safety Committee would like to make a statement of support in maintaining the ordinance. After committee review and consultation with Chief Bush and former Mayor Woolbright, this is former now, but we find this ordinance has served the village for numerous years as a positive measure for the safety and well-being of minors. So although I think collecting data for a year may be helpful in some way, I'm not sure that it's really the best approach to this. And I have to agree with Frank Rossi in regards to the referendum, because I do believe that it should just be put to possibly, to question the village residents. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Okay, next to talk will be Ray Otten.
Hi, this is Ray Otten, 16 Middlebrook Avenue, Ballston Spa, New York. I'd like to chime in on the curfew issue. Our surrounding communities, Mechanicville, Stillwater, Waterford, Corinth, they all have curfews that have been in place for years and years and years, and they're working well. Not sure why we would look at 2% of the village responding to a question as not being a good representation. I'm curious how many, other than the 3 board members that voted about the curfew, or the 2 members that voted for the curfew to be changed. Other than that, how many people are in support of changing this ordinance? Just a question. And Ben, you had put out at one point, let's have a question and answer, even if it's not the same week. I would love to hear that at the next meeting. What the answer to that is, how many people are actually in support of changing this? And I guarantee you it's not going to be anywhere near what the amount is that want to change it. And I agree with the referendum. 2 other things. One thing that was found out over the past couple of weeks is that we can now set aside the money that we were looking at possibly spending to eradicate the bishop's weed in Wiswall Park, because it came from some documentation from the DEC that the bishop's weed is not an invasive species in New York State. So all it is a weed that sort of got out of control. So that can now come off the the spraying schedule. We don't have to spend $7,500 on that. We can spend it on other things towards that park. So that's good news. The last bit of good news is down at Community Emergency Corps and in several other places in the village, we are collecting toys for Tots from now through the 12th of December. So anybody that has the ability to give some toys, that would be a real positive thing. And yeah, we're a 24-hour-a-day service in the village. And, you know, not that I want you waking my folks up at 3 o'clock in the morning to give them a yo-yo, but anytime during the day, stop by, we'll take the toys and let's show them that Ballston Spa can really get behind their kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Otten. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, I have no one else on my list except Lori AC, so unless she has another comment. Oh, we have a few more. Okay, if Lori AC has another, okay, she just put it down. Okay, the next one, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, Marilyn Stevenson. I will allow you to talk.
And please state your name and your address when you begin to speak.
Okay, hi, this is Marilyn Stevenson, 45 West High Street. And I'm a member of the Ballston Spa House and Garden Club. And I just wanted to update the trustees and the public about our recent activity at the Iron Spring Park Garden. Saturday, we had 11 volunteers that showed up that helped with the renovation of the garden. We cut a new edge. We placed cardboard and compost on a large section of the garden. We transplanted plants and started the process of bringing that garden back to life. The next step will be the removal of the outdated lighting system that's at the back side of the garden. And once that's done, we're hoping to put about I think it's 12 cubic yards of topsoil in that garden to continue the renovation, hopefully by week's end, and get that all spread out in time for the next step, which will probably happen during spring. So I just wanted to update everybody about our progress. And with that, I'll thank you for the opportunity to share that information.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, and next I believe on my list is Gina Morosi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane, Ballston Spa, representing Mohican Hill Apartments. First, I want to correct Sean on something. Based on the number of signatures on the petition that is circulating in support of keeping the teen curfew in place, it's well over 4% now and climbing. So just to correct you on that. Excuse me, my allergies. Second of all, when are we going back to in-person meetings? I asked this question last meeting. Since then, members of the board have been at in-person meetings. Namely, Liz Cormos was at the museum meeting last Thursday. Why is it that the members of the board can attend meetings in person, but none of us can? And I'd like an answer to that question this time. And lastly, the level of disrespect being shown towards past Mayor Woolbright by this board is nothing short of offensive. Perhaps you all need to go back and rewatch his speech and listen this time to the reasons why he resigned. He wasn't overwhelmed. He didn't abandon his position. He was at a point where he felt he couldn't be of any use anymore and was just spinning his wheels due to behavior. So please go back and watch his speech and then get back to us before you make such asinine comments. Thank you.
All right, in terms of going back, we will be in Zoom meetings until January, until such time as the state disallows continuing it on Zoom. The new Governor Hochul has extended the ability or the waiver to have Zoom meetings until January. So we will be in Zoom up until that time.
Why?
Because we feel that it is a public safety, public health situation. So thank you, Ms. Morosi. And
live by what you
next
say.
person. Julia, thank you.
Okay, I still have Marilyn and Gina's hands up, so unless they have another comment, I'm gonna go on to the next, which is Keith Lewis.
Hi, Keith Lewis, 38 East High Street, Ballston Spa, New York. First off, I want to thank the board for your continued participation and leadership. I think tonight is a great example of how you pull together. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for leading the village forward. I want to thank you for balancing priorities, and I want to remind residents that the report this evening on trees was done by a full grant and an outside firm. It didn't take resources from the village. And I think that this board has, over the course of 2.5 years, demonstrated that you can chew gum and walk at the same time, and you've been able to balance a number of different priorities, from healthcare, negotiating different pensions and so forth. And I think that that's a testament to the skills that you all bring together. And I also want to just bring up the issue of Larry. I think that everyone can say unequivocally we appreciate his participation in the village, and certainly I think he was an asset, and I was sorry to see him go. But I also wrote down a quote that he spoke the following day on WAMC, where he said, "I was feeling like I was no longer able to make any progress or move forward with the things that I thought were important. It's a big job, a full-time job. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And it really was taking me away from all the other activities and all my other interests." And I think that, that evening we can certainly see he was full of a great deal of feeling, and we should recognize those feelings, but feelings aren't facts. And when I looked back over the last 5 months, I noticed that out of 107 motions, that there has been one that he's been in the minority. So I just want to applaud all of you for moving forward. I think you're doing a great job, and I'm rooting for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Any other public comment?
Okay, I still have Gina and Keith's hands raised, so if they're still up, we'll go circle back to them. But the next on the list is Bob Bush.
Mr. Bush?
Bob Bush, 71 Church Ave.
Mhm.
I just want to congratulate you, Christine, has become mayor.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions I wanted to ask about those pumps that were failing for the water. I was wondering where we are with those. I know that they were mentioned the last meeting about the finances and whatnot. And as far as that curfew goes, Sean, I think you got your answer already. I mean, these people that have talked aren't just residents, they're parents. They've expressed what they want, and they keep expressing. I agree with a couple other residents that have spoken about, put it to the vote, see what the public says. Why wait a year? Put it out there in March. Thank you.
Okay.
And then, there's a few more still. Next up is Bob Kavanaugh.
Okay, I can read it now. Bob Kavanaugh, 20 Crestline Drive, Forest Park, up here by the fairgrounds. This is addressed to Christine, the mayor. Congratulations. I would like to say only one thing about the notification about Thursday and the closure of the village facilities. I'd like everybody to remember that Thursday is Veterans Day and it's more than just a day off. There's a lot of people that served in this country over many, many years. I'm one of them. And I have a lot of proud friends that have done this service. And I think it would be worthwhile. Well, I'm saying it right now. Thank you to all my fellow veterans. All this stuff that you're seeing going on here tonight didn't happen without their efforts. So everybody enjoy your day off. Just remember where it came from. And I'd like to go to one more thing. I hope I don't run over. Trustee Raymond brought up about the leaf operations and stuff going on. And Trustee Baskin has been concerned about knowing what was going on in the village office. So when leaf picking starts, the phone starts ringing. So we shortcutted you probably. We didn't call you 4, 5, 10 times a day to try and say something about leaf picking. But there's a schedule that the DPW is following. It's on the website. It's being updated at the end of every workday by the DPW. It's available to the residents so they know where the leaf picker is, so they can rake their leaves the day before the leaf picker comes instead of the day after. It makes it much more effective. So we've taken the calls, we've addressed it, we've moved forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, Bob Bush still has his hand raised, and so does Bob Kavanaugh, but I'll move on to
Yes.
Amy Jenkins.
Right, thank you.
Looks like she's still muted, so she would have to unmute herself.
I think you might have the wrong person.
Yeah,
AU.
Oh, I am so sorry. I apologize for that one. Switched me up. Let me move that one back. Sorry, now she has the ability to talk when she unmutes herself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Amy Jenkins, 37 Grove Street. And I just wanted to take a minute and thank the village for supporting the ice skating program on Eastern Avenue. I'm really excited to get that up and running again this year. It was such a it's been a great program for years, and it was such a positive thing to have going during COVID last year. And I just wanted to also thank Trustee Baskin for helping me get that up and running. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you for leading the volunteer effort on that.
Okay, and I believe the next one up is Anna Stanko. If I don't have your last name right, I apologize in advance.
Over. Hi there. I just wanted to give a shout out to our great fire department who responded to a fire on Grove Street. Both departments responded very quickly and there were no serious injuries to anybody there. So we need to remember what a great volunteer fire department we have when they come to the village and ask for protective gear, etc. They certainly deserve all of our support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stanko.
Okay, and I have no new hands. The only ones still up are Amy and Anna.
Okay. All right. With that, thank you all for your public comments. And we have Board of Trustee response. And I am going to read a statement and then we are going to go into adjournment. Okay. Definition of regret: to feel sorrow, disappointment, or distress about. We regret Larry Woolbright's resignation as mayor effective October 29th. He is a highly regarded member of our community who has skillfully and generously served us, not just as mayor, but also in several other official positions. We regret that he did not share with us how overtaxed he had become in his job as mayor. We regret that he resigned the way he did with personal hostility towards some of us, diminishing the role we have all played in the progress of the village and with no prior notice to any of us. Yet clearly some form of notice had been provided to 50+ individuals attending the meeting on October 25th. Our captain ambushed his team. We regret that this resignation, conducted as it was, ignited a media frenzy that produced rancor in our community and tarnished the image of Ballston Spa as a village of friends and as a community making progress. We do not regret the collective progress we have made, the former mayor and the trustees together. Our village is financially stable. We have obtained grants to help us better plan and address longstanding problems. We have improved systems and equipment, and we have addressed our infrastructure issues, and our government is more transparent. A word about government process and transparency. Since 2019, we have many new and different personalities of all political stripes on our committees and involved in our forward momentum. But where there is motion, there is always friction. And the New York State open meetings law requires us to hold our deliberations in public. Major changes and initiatives are vetted and hotly debated in full view of the public. This is new for Ballston Spa, and it is often time-consuming, frustrating, disconcerting, and in a word, messy. Even given the change in approach, meeting minutes and recordings show that the Board of Trustees has voted together far more often than any of us have stood alone. Just this week while working, I came across 2 items indicating board unity. One was from a resident written in August, in which he acknowledged the progress the village board had made and thanked all of us for our effort. The other is a letter from Larry dated September 22nd, addressed to the town of Malta, stating that one of the highest priorities of the board is finding a new home for our DPW, and that the entire board would be united in using part of a parcel of land under discussion to connect to the Zimsmith Trail. What we can promise is that the current Board of Trustees stands committed to working towards our collective success and continuing to ensure that the village of Ballston Spa remains a wonderful place to live, work, and play. All right, and with that, I am going to ask for a motion to approve vouchers 22-00443 22-00443 to 22-01001. May I have a motion to do that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Please remember to sign the cover sheet and send that to the clerk as soon as possible. And with that, I want to thank you all for your participation, and we are going to end the meeting. Thank you very much, Julia, for all your help here. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Right.